All right, so the next section I'm going to work on is this main thing here. So we have a section of main content that wraps article, 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 and each article has the same thing in here. It's very nice, very repetitive. It doesn't usually work that way with designs. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video again and come back and show you. Well, maybe I won't because this is pretty unique here. I'm gonna go a little bit with this. So first we have a section, and and I wanted to give this an ID, and I'm looking right at my design as I do this, an ID of main content. And then I'm going to close the section, and then I'm going to indent, and I have an article, and I've decided to give all the articles the same class, which is article. So I know the class is about an article, our company. And I'm going to close the article, and then inside the article I'm going to code in image. And I mentioned this in the previous video about writing in bringing in images. Now I don't have an image to bring in, so I'm just going to make something. I am going to go ahead and hand code this image source, and this is fine for you to do. And I'm just going to click equals. I'm not going to let Dreamweaver help me with this because I don't have a real image in this case. So I'm going to do image source and pi.jpg. It doesn't matter, that doesn't really exist. It's going to show up as a broken image over there on the when we look at the actual code. An alt, we got to put in our alt of American Pie. Later we'll have a real image to put in there. For right now, our width equals, we'll just say 100, and our height equals, if you actually want to measure your widths and heights in the layout, you can. It just is going to show a big broken image. And we'll say our height is probably 80. And then I don't think those are the correct numbers, but we're just going with it. And then I'm going to close that. And the next thing I'm going to do is an H2. Now, why am I not doing an H1? Because you could have each section start with an H1. The reason I'm choosing H2 for everything except the header is because currently search engines are kind of funny about having multiple H1s throughout the page. Technically, in each new sectioning element in HTML5, you can start each one with an H1. Each sectioning element with an H1 element. But because search engines are kind of funny and in the past have been reported to penalize search engine rankings for multiple H1s, I'm going to hold off on rolling that dice right now, and I'm going to go ahead and just give my header an H1, or in some cases another approach is to give the main, if your page just has say that in here, your main page, you had a topic right at the top, and you didn't have these multiple articles. You had a topic up here, our products, and then you had an image up here. You don't have to put the image in an H1. I am, because of the structure of this. But perhaps if things were different and I saw all the mocks for the site, I might make a different choice. So that's where I come along and I look at your code and go, you know what, don't do an H1 up here. Just go ahead and, wrap that, just wrap it in a div. Wrap your image in a div if you need to, or something, just to give it, just call in your image if that's all that's up there. Do you really need to wrap it in anything? You don't have to. In this case, though, that it's our company, it's Ben and Jerry's, it's the topic. So I might very possibly have H1 be this, like if there's a subject up here, that might be my H1, and then all these articles would still have H2s in them right now. Later, as HTML5 is more and more adapted and search engines settle down about penalizing for multiple H1s, that's the time when I'll actually go ahead and put multiple H1s in. But I'm going to give it a little while for that to kind of sift out. I've looked up Google's stance on it, and they say that they don't penalize for it, but other search engines might. And I know mostly, well, for me, I mostly consider Google stuff, but that's a pretty big one. You don't want to get penalized on a search engine, and so for a while I'm going to hold off on that. So this will be an H2, American Pie. And then I'm going to go into a paragraph, and what I'd like you to do, you do not have to type all of the text in the paragraph. Here's what I'd like you to do, because you cannot select the text either. I'd like you to type like the first, probably 15 words, okay? And then I'll be happy because you guys do have a little bit of text on your, I think you have a little bit of text. You might, yeah, it seems like you've got some product descriptions. So how can our nation be satisfied to lead the industrialized world in nuclear weapons technology while, what is it, falling behind, dot, dot, dot. That's how you can do it, okay? And then, I don't know if that's 20 words. We're just going with it. So my layout has, it says it's got an image, an H2, and a P. Well, I've got nothing happening here. I've got an image, an H2, and a P. Great, wonderful. I'm going to copy and paste all of these articles, like 2 more, and give them their unique identities or their unique qualities, and then I'll be, oops, sorry, I'm going to copy from here to here, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back with our last thing coded here, which, so we have the section that we originally created. And I gave myself a little space in here so it was a little easier to read things. So we've got our overall section, and if I use my tag inspector, if I just click in here and I go right here, I can see this is where my section begins, this is where my section ends. Then if I click in this article, I can look at my tag inspector and click article, and I can see I've got article, our company, I've got image, I'm calling it pie for right now, alt American Pie, I've given it a pretend width and height. My H2 is American Pie, which is based off of what I have here. How can our nation be satisfied? On and on. I have some of that text here. And I have done exactly as far as tags go. I have article with a class. I have image right there. I have H2. I have paragraph. And then I repeat. So this next one is the social, environmental, and I have an alt for that says 2006 social and environmental with the coded in ampersand symbol assessment. Then the header, the H2, and then some of the text. And then I repeat one more time, small scale family farms. And if we go over here, small scale family farms, the alt for this, oops, look at that, I missed that. That's what you get for copying and pasting, though that's a small price to pay. There we go. And small scale family farms, and today, blah, blah, blah. So that's a little bit of text from that. All right, so that's our markup. Let's go ahead and test this in the outline generator. And actually, before we do that, I want to definitely have you, you shouldn't go to the outline until you've tested. So we're going to validate. You're going to go to your web developer toolbar and go to validate local HTML, and I'm going to choose my document. Okay, and from there we're just going to make sure it's valid HTML and see what it does. Hold on, this document cannot be checked. Just a second. Okay, so I was just doing things too quickly. Silly me. Alright, so we're going to, from Dreamweaver, preview in Firefox. And then, now that we have the document loaded in our browser, because I have not uploaded, I'm going to go to Tools, Validate Local HTML. And it says one warning, and the warning is that it's an experimental feature using the HTML5 conformance checker. It's nothing on my part. This is what I'm looking for. If you don't get this, see if your group members can help you figure out what's not valid. And if you're really, really stuck, put your name up on the board for help. Now, once you know that that's okay, then you can go to the outliner. And the outliner is the address for that is in your reading. It is in chapter 3. And what you do is you browse, go to the document, which I've already gotten to, and then I'm going to outline this. And this is what I would expect to see. Well, sort of. I have to fix one thing. I got to think about that. So Ben and Jerry's logo, and then I have main navigation, side navigation, untitled section, American Pie. So everything's right. I got to think about this for a minute, and let me get back to you. Hold on. You know what? Yeah, that is correct because we're saying that the Ben and Jerry's logo. Now, I may want to call it something different now that I see what this is. I may change this to make a little more semantic sense and just call it Ben and Jerry's. If I'm going to use this as the H1 and I have no other H1s on the site, then I might change that to H1. If you want to roll the dice and everybody else can be in H1, then you'll get a different outline. But I am still going to go with just one H1 on the page. In this case, it's the masthead and it's Ben and Jerry's. So I'm going to go back to my outliner. It's already got the page ready to go. I'm going to click Browse, and now I have Ben and Jerry's. We have the main navigation, side navigation. We have an untitled section here. So if I really want the articles to have a title just like the navigation, and looking at it now, I think, okay, maybe I should, because what are these, right? So we're on the our company page. So I'm going to go ahead. This is my section of main content, and I'm going to go ahead and say H2. And in this particular instance, it's our company, and I think that's good enough. So I will do H2, and then each one of these, I can do an H2 here, and then these can be H2s as well, because once I'm in a sectioning element, I can start all over again. I don't have to go, well, now that I'm in here, it has to be an H3. It doesn't, unless that semantically makes sense, but really each one of those articles can stand on their own. So I'm going to refresh and see if, oh, all right, back, I hit the back in my browser, and now I'm going to click Outline This, and now we have, that looks much better. So Ben and Jerry's, main navigation, side navigation, I might want to give these something a little more meaningful, but today for my purposes I'm happy with them. Our company, because that's a lot more meaningful, our company. And then these are the articles in the Our Company section, and that makes perfect sense. So so this is my very first stab at HTML5. You're watching it here, and most likely in a year I will be horrified at my choices. But for now, here we go. This is what I'm going with based on everything I've learned so far. And just remember with the outliner as you're testing this to make sure it makes sense that like this thing that says main navigation, side navigation, our company, those H2s in the document, we can make those not show up when it comes to the actual page. This is for the outline and anything that needs to read the outline of the HTML5 document. So also with the outliner, if you just hit your browser's back button, you don't have to keep typing in the address for it. So that's what I was doing, and then I just clicked Outline This again, because the file, every time I made a change in Dreamweaver, I made the change, I saved it, I hit my back button, and I could see that the address for the file is still there, and so then I just clicked Outline This, and it just did it again. Alright, so that now takes us through code in HTML5, test your documents outline. I actually have this in the wrong order. It should say validate before testing. I'll change that. And the next thing for you would be to upload your HTML5 page to your own server space. And that is that's covered in Lecture 1's videos. And the thing you've got to remember is when you go to your web address, so if it's Newhouse Studios Beta, you've got to type in your user 01, whatever user you've been given, / and in this case, oh, I'm so sorry. There we go, newhousestudiosbeta.com / user1. And in this case, I didn't name it index, I named it exercise 2. So I would have to type in exercise exactly how I named it. If I named it exercise02.html, and then if I were to upload it, I would hit enter, then it would show up. If I were to just do this and I did not name that file index.html, it's not going to come up. So I have to type in the exact file name in this case because I didn't name an index. Okay? And there you go. Then you'll show everything to me. The outline, the valid code page, and you'll show me your page. You show it to me from the web like this. And then I'll also look at it in Dreamweaver.